Hi, everybody. Sally Ann Armitage here. I'm going to talk to you today about the skill of reflection. I know that the skill of reflection is talked about quite a lot on counselling courses, but I'm not sure it's always taught very clearly. I've been involved in teaching in the past, and I teach now, and my sense is that sometimes people leave training courses and they never feel totally clear about what the skill of reflection is. So I thought I'd put together a lecture, and this is my take on the skill of reflection. I've tried to make it as absolutely clear as I possibly can, so hopefully it's going to be, sort of easy to pick up and to start practicing yourself. So, what is reflecting? Well, reflecting is the name given to a responding skill used with clients or speakers because it's not always in a therapeutic setting that you'd be using skills like this. You can use them in any dialogue, in any conversation, and they might be especially useful in conversations where you're helping somebody, when you're supporting somebody. So these types of skills are incredibly powerful, and hopefully you're going to learn a bit more about that as we go through. So, to put it simply, after listening to a person, we mirror the emotional content back to that person. Hence, calling it reflection, because you're sort of mirroring the emotional content back to a person. So, what might that look like? We are going to look at that as we go through. We're going to look at dialogues to help you learn how that might sort of appear in a conversation. But why do we do it? Why do we use reflections? Well, they demonstrate understanding, empathy. Because you're sort of saying to somebody, this is what I'm hearing, they feel understood. Yeah, you're sort of showing them that you're following, you're understanding, and you have got a clear idea of what they're going through in that moment, what they're feeling. And that's empathic, that's showing good empathy. They help clients to get in touch with their feelings or bring feelings to the surface. Hearing somebody say how they experience what you're going through can be very powerful. Hearing somebody else say it can be very powerful, and can help people clarify. Oh yeah, that is what I'm feeling. Or that's not quite it. It's more like this, and it gets sort of deeper to that inherent truth, that truth behind the words, or the truth in the words, I guess, as well. So they can clarify mixed feelings. They can help clients to find direction, and they allow space for correction if we have misunderstood. A very powerful tool, very, very powerful. And my own belief is that between reflections and paraphrases, you don't have to do an awful lot else, really. If you get them down, if you master them, then you'll be doing very little else. Reflections and paraphrases between them may represent 80 to 90% of what comes out of your mouth when you're in a helping conversation. So it's that good, that useful, that powerful. So I've tried to keep it nice and simple. So how do I reflect? The most basic phrase to help you reflect a person's feelings is you feel, and then name the correct emotion expressed by the client, because indicate the correct experience and behaviours that led to that feeling. So you feel emotion because reason. Yeah, you feel this because this is the very basic reflective tool, okay? And the beauty of having it this simple is when you're listening to somebody and you're going to respond, if you already have it in your brain as you feel, because it starts a reflection, straight away. It's like it's automatic, and that can really help you to sort of formulate your response, especially in those early stages of getting used to using skills like this. So I wanted to put them into conversations, okay, to help you feel hopefully a bit more clear about it. So example one, client, I was so angry with him. How could he leave me for someone else when I'd been so loyal? I helped him through his bankruptcy, his illness. Counsellor, you felt furious because you'd stuck with him through his difficulties. You see, so you're not just saying good words. That's only part of it, isn't it? A very important part of it is using the emotion of the person who is speaking as well, allowing your voice, not just your voice, but your whole body, your being, to connect with the emotion of that other person, to feel an element of that emotion, and to use that to make sure your answer lines up with what the person is experiencing. So I'm not saying you felt furious because you stuck with him. Yeah, you're lining your emotion up with what the person is saying. It's a very important part of reflection, because if you don't do that, if you don't feel a little bit of what the client is feeling, it might be quite conspicuous to the client that you're using similar sentiments to what they're using. All right. Using the similar emotion helps it to flow nicely between yourself and the speaker, that they won't necessarily notice that you've got this, you're using this strategy at all. It'll feel very flowing and very natural, and it will, more importantly, or as importantly, stay in the client's moment, stay in the client's frame of reference, so that they will have time, spend time on their emotions in that moment rather than you leading them on. Have you thought about this? When I went through that, this happened. My advice to you is, like, oh, stop feeling that way. You've been silly. All those sorts of interventions, all those sorts of responses we might use, and we're not doing it because we're bad. It's just natural. It's what we do in our society. We use answers like that. But what they do is they can lead a person away out of what they're going through in the moment and into a new, fresh avenue that you've decided. So you might say, oh, forget about him, sort of move on now. He's he was never any good for you. Okay, move on now. Move on now. Okay, so do you mean you think I should meet someone new? Oh my goodness. You see, it leads you to a different area of inquiry. It's not allowing the person to sit with their feelings. I'm going to give you some more examples. So example two, client, me and Mike are getting really close now. I've been so contented these last few months. Counsellor, you feel happy. Your relationship is deepening. Yeah, so really get into that moment. Really prize and hold that moment. See it as sacred and, sort of allow it to have space. Yeah, that feeling, that moment. Example three, client. I'm scared about my test results. I feel like the doctors know I've got something awful wrong with me and they're not telling me anything. Counsellor, you feel frightened. You think the doctors are withholding your results. You see, we're going to drop our voice into it. Feel a little bit of what that person is feeling. Step into that person's frame of reference. Be in that moment. Not try to rescue, not try to quickly make it better. Just staying in that moment. So, so powerful. Example 4, Rachel. I really like my new manager. She treats me really well, actually, and I'm so relieved. I've put all that trouble with my last manager behind me now. Sarah, you feel grateful because your new boss is so different to your last. Yeah? Can you get the feeling of what we're doing here? You feel because. And you might notice I naturally sometimes drop the because. That's because I'm this is I've been doing this for many, many, many years. So I do sometimes drop that because, but please don't, sort of read into that. You can totally use that because as well. It can, you sort of start to, I'm going to talk to you about this, so don't worry, but you can start to sort of rework it a little bit to fit, sort of how you want to speak, how you feel comfortable speaking, and words you feel comfortable saying. But we'll come back to that in a minute. Now, in some cases, it can be helpful to the speaker if we use their exact words. That's okay, it's not wrong. You might have felt, I don't know, but you might have felt conscious about doing this because if it's not carefully managed, you can sort of leave a client feeling like you're just parroting back to them. Parroting, and that is written about in literature, that sort of, the feeling that in when you're speaking, getting the it's sort of twigging to you that somebody's saying the same word back, and it can be a bit sort of off-putting. But it can be incredibly powerful too. Okay, so it can be useful when the client has used a phrase or a word which seems powerful or significant to them. So don't change it if it really feels like that was that was really where your client was. That was, really close to their experiencing, and you can feel it. It allows time for a word or phrase to sink in for the client and give the moment space. I think that's really important, is space. I think that's one of the things that's so important about therapy, is we're giving a person and their emotions space. We can be in such a rush, can't we, in this world? We can be in such a rush. We've got sort of quick videos, what is it? I don't know how long they are, I'm not really in it, but, sort of 10, 20-second videos, just quick turnover, quick sentences on posts on social media, quick scrolling, everything's fast. And I think therapy, one of the reasons why it's so wonderfully powerful, is if we give people time and space. Yeah, slow it down. And in using a word for word reflection, we are so giving that word space, that phrase space. And we'd use a word for word reflection if no other word can adequately encompass what the client is saying. Yeah. I'll give you an example, one that stayed with me from many years ago. I had a client who was talking about members of their family, that this person is this person is this. Oh yeah, and then I've got I've got an uncle who's the salt of the earth, and then I've got and they carried on sort of talking about, and I says, wow, your uncle's the salt of the earth. Yeah, because it just stood out to me blaringly, that powerful phrase, salt of the earth. That powerful phrase, I thought I'd grab it. And quite often the person like, oh yeah, because it's right on it. It's on the bit that is really close to home. So word for word reflections, I've put some examples here. I like doing that, and people seem to learn quite well from examples. So here we go. Client. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, like I can breathe again. I'm so pleased. Counsellor, you can breathe again. Yeah, don't change it. It's wonderful, isn't it? Powerful, very relevant, highly relevant to the person. Yeah, grab it. Example 2. Client, I love him, but living with him and his son and daughter is overwhelming. I'm trapped. I don't want to stay or go. Counsellor, trapped. Example 3. Client, I am ready for a change now. I'm scared, but I know what I need to do. Counsellor, you're scared, but you know what you need to do. Can you feel it? Can you feel how right it feels. I hope you can. I hope you can. And it's all about that tone, isn't it? That weight to the words, stepping into that moment. It's really important. Because if I'd have said as counsellor for that last one, you're scared, but you know what you need to do. It takes on a completely different meaning, doesn't it? And that second example too. Trapped. It takes on a completely different meaning. Now, if you do if you do find this useful, you can talk to yourself in front of a mirror, or you can record yourself speaking, just to get an idea of how you sound and what you look like when you're speaking. Practice authenticity, practice being sort of emotionally available. Because what might happen, I'll give you an example. This is when I was doing my diploma. We're talking 15 years ago or something now. I didn't know this, but I was saying, yeah, 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 yeah. It seems bizarre now, but I was apparently. But somebody said to me, do you know that you say, yeah, yeah, yeah? I'm like, what? And I realised that yeah, yeah, yeah was actually kind of like saying shush, shush, shush to a person, shh, like shutting him up. So I'm so glad that I took that moment, to sort. Well, I didn't take that moment; it was part of my course. But I'm so glad that someone had observed me and fed it back. So ask for some honest feedback from your friends, your peers, your colleagues. Am I quite good with empathy? Do you think I'm quite supportive? When you say I'm supportive, what do you mean? Because they might say, "Oh, you're supportive because you always give me great advice," which does have value. But here we're talking about a different way of doing it, aren't we? Yeah. So it's your turn now. Pause this screen if you want. I invite you to create a reflection for these following things. You feel, because reason. I haven't got time to do anything. My life is work, work, work. My social life is gone. It's hard because in a way I still love my partner, but I just don't want to be with him anymore. Finally, I can't believe how far I have come. I am buzzing. I don't even know the person I was a year ago. Okay, so what do you think? What do you think? I haven't got time to do anything. My life is work, work, work. I haven't got time to do anything. You feel overwhelmed? Do you think that fits? What do you think, person watching? What do you think? Feel overwhelmed? Because your life is full of work? Because your life is just constant work? Or maybe we're missing the social bits. What can we say? You feel overwhelmed because you work so much you're hardly doing anything for fun anymore. Can you see the sky's the limit? There's no right and wrong. I mean, there is a wrong because you could just say, "Oh, shut up." But you know what I mean? Within reason, there is quite a lot of scope. Yeah, I'm loath to say wrong, but you know what I'm on about. There's quite a few options. It's not like do this, this is right, this one choice. There's many different flavours of it. So have a play, see what you can do. It's hard because in a way I still love my partner, but I don't want to be with him anymore. You feel conflicted? Does that fit for you, do you think? You feel conflicted? Because you still love your partner, but you're not sure whether you want to be in the relationship anymore? Yeah? Something like that? This is all in the moment and it's all with it to feel it, you feel it a bit with your belly when you're with a person. So it can be hard to produce these off the cuff, but I think it's really useful to do it to sort of build this skill into your practice. I can't believe how far I've come. I'm buzzing. I didn't know the person I was a year ago. I'd go for a word for word in that one. I'd go buzzing, something like that, yeah? So you play around with it. I didn't really want to, sort of give you, too many solid answers for this because I really want you to learn that it's, you can do different responses and they're still all okay. It's like Roger said, isn't it? Even if your empathy is to a degree felt by the person speaking, then therapeutic movement will occur. So what he's saying by that is you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be giving these wonderful, perfect responses all the time. It's far from it. Far from it. Be available, be authentic, and do your best, and it'll be enough. So, things to consider. So, when you're checking your understanding of reflection, consider the following. How accurately did I pick up on the main feeling expressed and communicate my response with the correct strength of feeling? You know, we talked about angry. If they're, I can't believe it, then you just cannot believe it. Yeah, you get there with them if they're like, I'm so sorry, I don't know what to talk about. Okay, I'm hearing that you no idea what to bring up today with me. Yeah, just stay with it. Did my reflection make use of the personal pronoun you to indicate as if inside a client's frame of reference? Did I correctly pick up on mixed feelings when the speaker expressed these, or did I only reflect back one of the feelings expressed? So you feel sad because of this, but you also feel a little bit conflicted because of this. So you're grabbing both feelings, you're not just picking one. And how empathic was my response? So that is how you can check your responses. And I do invite you to record yourself, and if you can get somebody that's happy to be recorded and you're clear about how you're using that recording to that person, check out how you're doing. Now, you'll know from my previous lectures that I really love Mearns and Thorne. I find the books incredibly useful. And helpfully, they have come up with levels of empathy, which I think really help me navigate reflection as a therapist. They have level 0, no evidence of understanding the client, responses that are irrelevant to the client's feelings. For example, you'll be okay, don't let it get to you. Level 1 shows only a partial understanding and has lost some of the client's feelings in the response. You're pretty mad, aren't you? Level 2, showing an understanding and acceptance of the client's feelings, sometimes called accurate empathy. You're frustrated because you really wanted this relationship to be different. Level 3, an understanding beyond the level of the client's immediate awareness, showing an understanding of underlying feelings. You're frustrated and maybe disappointed because you really wanted this relationship to be easier. Yeah? So a little bit on the edge of awareness working there. When you feel like something is there and bringing that into awareness. And if the client says that ain't it, it's more like this. Or if they say that isn't it, Sally, you're not getting me, just repair it. Oh, okay, yeah, I hear that. Yeah, and I'm gonna, and I think we need to take some time to make sure we do understand each other. Let's figure this out. So get ready to repair if there's, it feels like it's been a bit of a fracture in the dialogue. Now, I invite you to use those levels of empathy on the previous slide to kind of mark these responses. I really want you to practice this and get it, feel confident with it. So the client says this, I can't even remember life before we met. It feels like I didn't exist before we decided to be together. She became my whole life so quickly. I did everything I could to make her happy. I still feel like she'll be there when I get home, but she's left. And that's that. So A, it hurts now, but it will get better in time. These things always improve. Just give it time. B, sounds like you've dedicated your life to her and you can't believe she's gone. Doesn't feel real. C, there's plenty more fish in the sea. D, you can't remember life before you met. E, the best thing you can do now is to move on. Try to find someone new. Okay? Now, which one of those do you think might have been that level 2, 3 in empathy scale? What do you reckon? What do you think might have been 0? Yeah? feel free to put your answers in the comments below if you like. Next one. I'm excited about the future. I didn't used to get excited. Not that I can remember. Now I'm looking forward to having new experiences. I don't want to waste any time. I want to get back to life. A. You feel giddy and ready for new things. B. You feel like you've awoken suddenly to the potential of life and you can hardly wait. C. Wow, you sound hyper. D. I know how you feel. When I did that abseiling the other month, I felt such a rush and a thirst for life. E. You sound like you're in a good place at the moment. Okay? Remember that empathy scale. Go back a bit if you want and have a check it again. Where do you think these answers would fall in that? Get an instinct for it, get a feeling. Okay, and when you start getting more confident, I've got a fidget noodle, that's what this thing is. When you start feeling more confident, you can start mixing it up a bit. You don't always have to be you feel because. You can start mixing it up a bit, yeah? Sounds as though you feel, and you can lose the because if it feels natural, or you can keep that in. Am I hearing you right that you feel, what you seem to be saying is you're feeling, what's coming across is you're feeling, see, so you can couch it a bit differently, mix it up a bit, find wording that feels right for you, feels natural. Yeah, and it's really important. I know you probably already know this, but you're not doing a bad reflection if you don't say you feel because. Okay, the point is that you are acknowledging the feeling and you're acknowledging the reason. Okay, the more you sort of discipline yourself with this, you might get further and further away from authenticity. I'm structuring it in this way to help you learn it, but I hope you see that. I hope you see that you're not doing a bad reflection if you don't say you feel because. Do you see what I mean? I'm hoping to, this is a springboard for your learning in terms of reflections. So I've put a reference there for the levels of empathy in the Mearns and Thorne book. I've got a big floppy version, the 4th edition. I've also got a little thin version from years and years and years ago, and I love them both. So really worth purchasing. And if you're short on money, you don't need to buy an up-to-date one. Buy an old one because they're still really good. Okay, so this is the bit I don't relish. I'm going to talk to you very briefly about myself. I really do pride myself in living, teaching, working authentically and trying to be as Sally as I am with everyone. I'm a level 7 qualified, BACP accredited counsellor, a qualified lecturer and a qualified clinical supervisor. I'm not just sat here going, bah, 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 look what I've done. But if you do have requirements in your organisation, your business or for yourself, it might help you to know what I've done in the past, because it might help you understand that I might be a good fit for something that you've got in mind. That's why that's there. I've had about 8,000 to 10,000 client hours experience with the police and civilian clients. That's my current caseload. My background includes teaching adult learners to become qualified counsellors. I did that for several years. Right now I'm focusing on my client work, supervision, lecturing and supervision with counselling tutor, and I also do group supervision. I am going in the direction of more training. That's going to be in my future for this year. So feel free to get in touch, Sally at nextchapter.org.uk, website www.nextchapter.org.uk, and of course there's this YouTube channel, Sally on Armitage at Next Chapter Online. Every time I get a view, I'm just so excited. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like the video, please like it. Please subscribe. I'll be putting videos up as much as I can. And please do comment as well. Remember, it's all the YouTube stuff. I really want to grow this channel. I love watching people on YouTube and I want to be part of it. I want to be part of that. So sending all my best to you and bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.